This video is for the bookkeeping service providers who want to level up their game. If your client does a lot of their own data entry or multiple people are involved in different stages of the bookkeeping for a particular file, then the features I'm about to show you are going to completely change the way you work. I recently sat with a CPA friend of mine and he was blown away by what I showed him. We sat to do a review of a client's books, and the amount of time it saved him, the amount of headaches it got rid of for him. Complete game changer. So if you're a bookkeeper and you don't yet use these features, you're lagging behind. Let's dive into this. Before we get in, I want to say that this is only for QuickBooks Online, and this is only available to accountant users. So if you don't see the things that I'm about to show you within your access, then you're probably not in as an accountant user, and you should be in that way. So let's get into it. This file here is a sample file. It's not an actual client file. This is a public file available to everybody. So don't think that I'm sharing client data. I would never do that. Now, the three features I'm talking about, I'm really excited about the first one. When you get into the file, it's called, in the section for accountant tools, reclassify transactions. This feature, if you're not using it, you're probably spending a lot of time doing unnecessary work. Now, what is this useful for? Sometimes, especially when you're in a more of a supervisory role and you have people under you who are involved in putting data into the file, they can make a lot of mistakes. When you come to review the file and there are things that are put in the wrong place, right? You need to simply go to Accountant Tools, Reclassify Transactions, and this allows you to select multiple transactions for a really long time, date range, and to move them to the right account. Now, let's say, for example, let me make this a little bit smaller. So let's say we're doing, it's come to the end of the year and I want to review the books for this company, the sample company. I'm going to go to the start of the year, 1st of January, and up until the date, let's say the date of today, and I do find transactions. Now it's bringing me all the transactions that are in this account. Up here is profit and loss. It's bringing me all the transactions that are in this account. Now, let's say a lot of these transactions that were posted as interest expenses were actually meant to be posted to office supplies, for example. One way of doing that would be to go to the individual transactions and you manually change them, right? This is the traditional way that a lot of people would do this. You go into every single one of the transactions and you correct the entry and then you save and then you move on. But no. The game changer in this is I could simply select all of this. I click on, assuming I want to move all of them. I select all of them. I click on reclassify. I choose the account where that's supposed to go. So in this case, let's say it's office. I just type it over there, office expenses. Cool thing, I can directly from here assign a new sales tax code to it. Let's say I needed everything to be exempt purchases. I change it to exempt purchases. You can also assign classes from here. So office expenses, exempt, and I do apply. It's going to move everything from this list that can be moved to the new account that I've chosen them to move into. It doesn't remove certain kinds of transactions, and you would see them as you go. So just being able to batch reclassify transactions is going to save you a ton of time that you would have been manually doing those entries. Let's say all of those ones, this janitorial services. Okay, this is good. But let's say these were exempt and you didn't have to assign sales taxes to them. You can come directly here, batch, you select them, you do reclassify, and I just want to change the tax code. These are meant to be exempt purchases and I apply. You see, it stays here and it changes the tax code for me. So the regular way would be to go in one by one and change every single one of those transactions. But with the accountant access, you can batch reclassify all of them to what it's supposed to be. So that's the first tool. If you're not using it, you're kidding yourself. You're spending too much time doing work that could be done way faster. The second favorite tool of mine. Well, before I get there, so you can do that on the balance sheet and you can do that on the income statement. There are some accounts that you cannot reclassify transactions for. And we can get into the details of that. I can go into services. Let's go into an account that has a lot of things. Let's see here. Cost of sales, billable expenses. This one has a lot of things. Perfect. Now we can sort by supplier name. Let's say I want, let's see, what are the names that are over here? Let's say I want Garcia's event space, find transactions. I just want to find these transactions, and it turns out that we've found that in reviewing, right? An example, if these were not meant to be in billable expenses and these were meant to be rent expenses, for example, I'm going to reclassify these particular ones and move them to the account where they need to be, rent expenses. So this is a place where, and I'm not changing the sales tax code here, and I move this. We can't apply those changes. The checks, I think on checks, you cannot do that. So let's try somebody else. Let's remove and put all the names, find transactions. Let's see transactions that are not checks. So let's do just expenses or bills. Let's go to bills. So this is Christina Gibson. Find. It's going to bring all the transactions that are in her name. I should be able to move the bills. So reclassify. These two were rent expenses. I apply. It still wouldn't let me do that. Let's see if we go in manually, it's going to allow us to do that. Items. It uses items, so and so it doesn't let you change items. So unfortunately, if you have this, then you're going to have to find a different way around it. But for the vast majority of transactions, you're able to move them around. But let's see, I think you can assign, let's say you use classes, you want to assign the class to it. You should be able to assign a class. There you go. So I am able to assign the classes. I'm able to assign the sales tax codes, but I just couldn't move those transactions that were using items. So it's good to know. It's good to know that there is a fast way of doing it, and there are some limitations, but as you work and you go along, you will see the things that will work and the things that will not work. And you can filter by name, you can filter by tax code, by classes, and you can reclassify. Instead of doing one by one, the goal is to get some speed, accuracy, and save you time, right? So those are things you're able to do. Now, you can do it as well on the balance sheet. So if you go on the balance sheet over there, not all the accounts would allow you to move things. So let's just find what would work. Let's say we go over there, we go to notes payable. There's nothing that can be moved over there. Okay, let's see here. Because of the filter on the name, find transactions. There you go. So let's go back and look. Notes payable. So here, a lot of the notes payables. And let's say in this one, we just wanted to assign the class. So I'm going to reclassify, change the class to the East and apply. So it let me put in the classes on these ones, but these few ones up here didn't allow that. Let's go in and see why. Can we assign a class here? All items need a tax rate. Sales tax code. So that allowed me to do it manually, but not in the batch. So let's do here, let's do admin, let's do tax code exempt, and apply. We're not able to make those changes. When you're in an actual file, you will be able to tell why, because you kind of know those transactions better. This is a demo file, and so there are certain restrictions in it, which is not allowing me to move things around as I would want to. But the thing to take away from this is, here is a feature that you should be using. If you're not using it, you're wasting time, you're wasting energy, you're wasting resources. You should be using this in order to speed up your work, in order to quickly add value to your clients and move things around. Instead of fixing things with journal entries, you sit with your client, you review the books, and you move them around to the place where they need to be moved. Now, the second feature that I love, undo reconciliation. So if we go to the reconcile, assuming that there has been reconciliation that's been done here. Let's get reconciled. If we go into, let's go into accountant tools, let's X out of there, reconcile, history by account. So no reconciliation has been done here. So let's see here. If I go into summary, there's nothing. But this feature allows you to undo a reconciliation. So let's say you assigned the reconciliation to someone on your team to take care of, and they made a mistake. They reconciled, but the reconciliation was wrong. Or your client did the reconciliation by themselves and they had the reconciliation wrong. When you come into accountant tools, reconcile, and you go to history by account, it's going to show you for each of the accounts that have been reconciled. You can choose the dates however you want them. But you go into each of the bank or credit card accounts or the accounts that are reconciled, and it's going to show you the history right here of the date of the statement, the date it was reconciled, the ending balance, any changes there, and any adjustments. You can always attach statements. Right here where it shows actions. On the actions part, let's see if I could get something to annotate. Okay, statement ending, reconciled on, ending balance, changes is going to show you down here as a list. Right here where it shows actions over here. The actions you can do here, when you click on the drop down, it allows you to undo the reconciliation. There are instances where you absolutely need to undo the reconciliation because there was a mistake in the reconciliation, and you as the pro, you as the person who's reviewing, you need to undo the reconciliation in order to fix it, in order to correct it, right? So only the accountant users, the people who are logged in as accountant users or people with accountant access, those are the only people that can do the action of undoing a reconciliation. And so this is another feature that if you're not using, you need to start using it. You need to always get access to your client's files as an accountant user. Now, the third feature, which completely blew my CPA friend's mind, was closing date. Setting a closing date. And so when we go in here, the way you find this, let's just back up a little bit. You go into the settings, you go to account and settings, and then you go into advanced. And over here in the accounting section of advanced, you click on edit. First of all, this setting should have already been done right. This is what you want to do. You want to toggle this to close the books after the year end has been completed, or after the review has been completed, or after, depending on what you and your client have agreed to. If you agree to closing the books on a monthly basis, then after the books have been completed for the month, you want to come in here and close the books as of that date. So let's say in this case that the bookkeeping for the month of October 2024 has been completed. We want to close the books as of this date. And here are the choices you have. Do you want to allow people to be able to make a change after viewing a warning? Or do you want to restrict them and require that a password be entered? I always choose this option, to enter a password, if I absolutely don't want anybody to make a change. So you as the bookkeeper or the accountant, you have control over this. Some other systems, when you close the books, I'm not exactly sure how that works in those other systems, but in QuickBooks, you can put in a closing date password. So you choose to close the books on this date, you allow changes after viewing a warning and entering a password, and then you put in the password. It could be alphanumeric, whatever you choose. I'm just going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 here. That's a weak password. Don't use that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I put that as a password. It doesn't match. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And now I save. And then I do. So it's showing here. Close the books. Yes, the books are closed as of this date, and I can do done. Now, what this is going to do is it restricts anybody from coming in and making changes to work that you have already completed and reviewed, right? it stops people from making those changes. The guy was blown away by this, because here's the deal. He had done all the work he needed to do. He had done the review, he had done the year end and stuff. And when you come back to when you're doing the next year end, you need to verify that the previous year end balances within your system, at least the starting numbers, match the numbers that you had closed the previous year with. And every time he came to this particular client file, the numbers had changed because somebody accidentally went into the system and changed information in the previous year. And so this drove him crazy every single time. And so I was like, why don't you set a closing date password? And he never heard of that. And so when I went in there and I showed him how to set the closing date password, it's like, oh my God, Ida, this is a game changer. Thank you. And so it might be something you already know, but if you did not know it, this will save you a lot of headaches of trying to figure out who made what changes in the system, what changes have been made. It's a complete waste of time trying to figure that out. Close the books once you're done so that nobody can make any changes. And if any changes have to be made, it's only going to be done by somebody who has the closing date password, or you will be informed before any changes are made, and you will be okay with the changes because you have control over it, right? And so just make sure you're using this 3 features. There's so many others, but these are my favorite. So the batch reclassify, which you can find in accountant tools, reclassify transactions. That's my number 1. Number 2 is the undo reconciliation, which you can find in reconcile and history by account. And then under actions, you can find that. And number 3 is the closing date password, which is in the gear icon on the top right hand side. Account and settings. You go under advanced, you go into the accounting section, and you close the book, set a password, and that. It doesn't completely stop somebody from coming in and changing the password, but at least there is a level of control there where somebody who was making a change without paying attention, it's going to force them to stop and think, oh, I was going to show you what that does. So because we've closed the books now as of October 31st, let's say I wanted to put in a new transaction for last month. And I'm just going to put advertising test, $100 sales taxes for HST, 13%. It adds that to 8, and I want to save. You see this? Double check the transaction date. This transaction was on or before your company's closing date. Using the date will affect your books. Please enter the password to continue. If somebody accidentally put in the wrong date here, this is a point of check for them to say, oh, wait, what did I do? Did I put in the right information? You can stop right here, go and correct the information. But if it was actually meant to be a thing for the previous month and you guys are all okay with it getting into that period that has been closed, then they would be given the password and you can then enter the password. In this case, it's 1, 2, let's go that again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And once I put the correct password, I click yes, it will allow me to record the transaction with that previous date. So because this is a demo file, it might not allow me to put in that information, because for the demo file, it only allows you to put transactions from today going forward. But this is a feature that once you activate and you have, then it's cool to know it, it's cool to use it, and it's a game changer for you, for your clients, for your CPA who does the year end. It saves you a lot of headaches. So I'm gonna close this out, and then let's see. Actually, those are my 3 favorite, but this one is also one that could be useful where you forgot to put the closing date password and somebody had gone in and deleted some transactions. You could always come here and see what happened. But also those are available in the audit trail. So if we go over to the gear icon and audit log, you could see. Only thing with the audit log is it shows everything, right? It shows you when somebody canceled the subscription, when somebody changed the setting, when somebody logged in or logged out, it shows you a lot of stuff. But if you just want to find the deleted transactions, voided or deleted transactions, it'll be here. That's an easy place for you as an accountant user or bookkeeping accountant user, and this would normally be reserved for bookkeepers and accountants. So this is just a sneak peek into what I teach people who work closely with me. It's all of these tips and tools that are going to help you to level up your game, get faster with what you're doing, become more valuable to your client, and of course, stop billing by time, right? Because if you were increasing your speed and efficiency and you were billing by time, then you will start to earn less because you're spending less time on the work. But that shouldn't be happening. So you should obviously figure out your billing so you're not billing by time, so that when you start to do all of those things that are very useful to your client, that save you time and increase your efficiency, you are not penalized for it, because it is a win-win for everybody. You get your client information more accurately, you spend less time doing it, and who cares how long you spend doing it, right? It's all about, is the work being done? Is it being done right? Are my accountants and CPA satisfied with what I have done? Am I providing a great service to them and to their clients and stuff like that? So hope you love this video. If you did, check out the next one right here next to me. I'll see you there.